Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Tea Time with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today's the 17th of January 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Thursday's afternoon session where we're going to have a look at the markets, a few of the charts, a few interesting ones, I believe so. But before we start looking at that, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so now then guys, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE MIB, so it's the Italian index. So I was covering this one and in one of my previous videos. So basically what I wanted to show you here guys, so we managed to get closer to this downside resistance line that was taken here from the highs of May, so the medium-term downside resistance line. So it's currently getting tested, or should I say, just maybe it's just shy of a few points from getting tested, but as you can see that this is what we had yesterday as well. So and today it kind of the index is still kind of failing to reach that line. So in a way we can see how important this downside resistance line is, and of course this is where we're going to keep on monitoring. And this arrow here, I've drawn this one from in my during my previous video a while ago, where I was talking about the FTSE MIB, and basically this is the scenario that we should also keep in our heads, because if this fails to drive above the, not only above the above this downside resistance line, but also above this upper side of the little range that the index is trading in since the end of October, and of course if we fail to drive above that, then yep, we could see maybe a decline here, another push lower, where we could then retest the lower bound of this little range that the index is trading in. So for now guys, of course this is very interesting right now what's happening here, and let's see how this plays out. If let's say this suddenly starts dropping lower, and if it fails to kind of move above this downside resistance line, keep a close eye on this 19,220 level. A nice good drop below this could of course initially send to a test of this little area here of this potential support, and let me just quickly put that on the chart for our future reference. And this is what I'm talking about. This is the low that we saw here on Monday, and that was approximately around the 1930 level, something like that. So of course keep your eyes on down. 19, actually, to be honest, to be more precise, it was around 1920 if to believe what TradingView is offering us here. So so in a way 19,020. So this is the level to keep an eye on. A nice good drop below this could of course send this index further down here towards the next potential area of support around the 18,850. But if all these levels fail to kind of to withhold the price from kind of dropping lower, then yep, it is opening the path towards the lower bound of this little range. But on the upside here, if we do get a nice push above this downside resistance line and a nice good break above the upper bound of this range, which is around the 19,630 level, and this is where it could become interesting for the bulls, because we could see this one traveling further up here, and this is where we will aim the 200 EMA, or maybe just slightly below that, the 20,250 level. So keep your eyes on that one guys. Jumping into another index, and this is the dollar index. So looking at this, certainly continues to climb higher above the steep upside support line. And actually, let me just jump quickly into the 4-hour chart in this one, and this is what we're seeing here today. So today it continues to trade above this pivot, which is around the 96.04 level, approximately there. So certainly the short-term upside support line remains intact. It kind of still shows the direction, the short-term direction where the index is heading to, but the only thing is you should kind of keep in mind of this little downside resistance line here taken from the highs of December, and of course we could in a way test that here, but if it starts to break here to the upside, then yep, this could open the path towards higher levels, and this is where we will aim for the 96.70 level, something like that, approximately there, guys, about around near these highs that we saw here back on the 3rd of January, but slightly above that we do have also this high that we saw here on the 2nd of January, and that was near the 96 point or should I actually, let's probably round it up towards the 97 level. So could be a nice potential area of resistance, but again, for us to consider such a level, we need to see a nice good break here above this this downside resistance line. The same kind of, in a way, the same technique applies on the for the lower level, for the lower end here, and if we do get a break below this short-term upside support line, certainly start looking at the potential test of the 95.75 level, which was marked here by the highs of the 11th of January. But if this fails to kind of withhold the bear pressure here, then further declines are possible, and this is where we will target this little area here, this little low near the 95.45 level. So keep your eyes on that one, but again, for now we're just gonna play it safe and just gonna continue observing this, how this plays out near these lines, and yeah, if we do get a break here either through the upper side here or through the downside, then yep, we'll probably just take that direction in the short run. Jumping into Aussie dollar, now this is a very interesting one, and let me just get back into the daily chart on this one. So overall still trading below this, in a way somebody could say maybe a tentative downside resistance line taken from the highs of January last year. So of course continue monitoring it. It's certainly the overall kind of outlook is still more to the downside. The only thing is that even, let's say, this week we're seeing a bit of a decline here. The only problem is with this little level here around the 0.7150. Now you can see it is kind of, it's struggling to overcome it. It's also not far from the 21 EMA here, shown as the yellow line on this daily chart, and of course this is where we're going to keep on monitoring, because a drop below this, if we do finally get a drop below the 0.7150 level, this is when we will aim for the 0.7115 or even lower. But for now guys, all eyes are on the 0.7150. Let's see how this plays out. If it continues to hold, if it continues to play it as a nice area of support, then we could see maybe a bit of a rebound here and a push back up here towards these recent highs that we saw here, especially last Friday near the 0.7235 area, something like that. But slightly above that, we do have this downside resistance line, this long-term downside resistance line that I was talking about. So keep your eyes on that one. Let's see how this plays out, but again, like I said, I'll repeat myself. First, let's keep a close eye on the 0.7150 level. Let's see how that plays out. Another pair that probably you don't look at very often, but it's quite interesting, to be honest, and especially looking at this daily chart. Now this is the Euro-Ruble here, so you can see that a while ago actually we've posted here on TradingView this idea that where basically we said that there is a good chance for the Euro-Ruble to kind of continue drifting lower towards this this upside support line, this kind of, in a way, medium-term upside support line, and this is exactly what happened here. So we managed to test that line, and today we're seeing a perfect rebound from it. Certainly the day is not finished, and still, in order to kind of for us to get more, let's say, on the bullish side here, then we would need to see a few key resistance areas getting broken. So for now, guys, long story short, certainly this is quite interesting right now, interesting developments, especially if this continues to travel further up here and we start breaking this 76.59 area, something like that, or 76.60 if you want to round it up a little bit. Certainly if we do get a nice pop above this level, then yep, further acceleration to the upside could be possible. Also, especially if we're gonna get a nice break here above the 77.33 level. So also which played out as a nice area of resistance back here in mid-January. Well, actually mid-January is right now as well, so to be more precise, on around the 11th of January. So yeah guys, for now keep on monitoring this one. It's very interesting, and let's see how this plays out. If suddenly this decides to drop below this medium-term upside support line, in order for us to start considering much lower levels here in the longer term, well, probably we will need to see and wait until this gets below the 75.15 level, which also here coincides here with the 200 EMA. So this could be that good confirmation of further declines, and this is when we will aim for the area around the 74.14, which was around the lows of October last year. So and of course, if that fails to kind of withhold the rate from dropping lower, then yep, this is when we will aim for the 72.72 level, approximately here, guys. So it was near the lows of the 31st of July also last year. So long story short, guys, for now continue observing this one. Probably don't rush into this yet. Let's see how this, if it manages to get back towards these key areas of resistance, and if it manages to get above the initially the 76.60 and higher. So, and then like I said, then probably will become a bit more interesting for the bulls. Jumping into EURCAD, and a very interesting one so we've posted also this idea today. For now it seems to be working nicely, but let's see how, of course, there's some time for it to go. And basically what we're seeing here is, of course, we are seeing this upside support line taken from the lows of October, or should I say the lows of the 24th of October, and it's now trying to push higher. And if we look at the 4-hour chart here, guys, it's managing to break above the this key area of resistance near the 151.46. so this is the barrier that we're still keeping a close eye on. For now it's kind of working out nicely, but again, as you can see, we do have our stop loss just near these lows around which we saw yesterday, and that was approximately around the 1.5083 level. So if this basically reverses back down and starts breaking this area, then yep, this is when we will probably abandon the whole idea here and probably start looking to the downside. But for now this is playing out nicely. Let's see if it actually continues to do that later on. But and also, as you can see in our chart here, our little target here that we've got is around the 1.5265 level, so keep your eyes on that one. And the last pair I want to quickly touch on, and that's going to be GBPCHF. Now this one is flying high today, and certainly the Swiss franc is getting hit, and a lot of pairs which are trading with the Swiss franc, and we can see that the pairs are strengthening against the Swiss currency. So basically we did have this nice break initially of this downside resistance line. I was covering this pair in one of my videos recently, actually. So basically we were trading around here somewhere in this above this little range that the pair was trading at since the mid-December, something like that. So now it's kind of looking at this daily chart. You can see that it continues to rush higher. It's aiming currently towards this 128.33 level, which is also not far from the 200 EMA. So potentially, probably we will be testing this area. But of course, not everything is confirmed. But still, this is most likely that we could test this area around here, around this 200 EMA. The big question here is this going to hold it down a little? Will we see a bit of retracement back to the downside, or is this going to just continue straight up here and aim for the next potential area of resistance near the 129.50, which we've got here marked on our chart? Certainly this is the big question, but let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. First, let's see how the price action goes around here, around around this 200 EMA, or even actually just slightly below the 128.33 level, something like that. Let's see how it plays out there. If it struggles to kind of just push further up here and we start seeing rejections, more rejections around here, and we see maybe a small reversal, especially like looking at the 4-hour chart, then well, potentially we could see maybe a bit of a slide back down here, which could be classed as a correction, and this is when we will aim for slightly lower levels. And certainly at the moment guys, for just continue monitoring this level here. You can see that looking at this 4-hour chart, the pair is currently well, it found its resistance near the R2, which is around the 128.28, something like that, but continue, like I said, continue monitoring that 200 EMA on that daily chart, and let's see how that plays out. But for now, of course, the path is kind of holding upwards, but if it fails to kind of drive further up here, we could potentially see maybe a bit of a correction back to the downside. And if it let's say fails to drop lower, then could be a good opportunity for the bulls to step in again. Okay guys, I hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for watching and listening. And if you want to join me tomorrow morning at my Trader's Espresso, and that's 7 o'clock GMT time. But for now, I hope you have a fantastic evening, and yeah, bye for now.